Hi friends, welcome to episode 43 of Pantry to Plate. I am Kristen, the dietitian, and I am coming to you from the Kaiser Permanente Learning Kitchen at the Atlanta Community Food Bank. We're so excited that you're here because September is a very busy month. There are lots of recognitions happening, so we tried to lump them all together into one video for you. So in September, it is Hunger Action Month. It is Hispanic American Heritage Month, and it's also Food Safety Education Month. And that is where our special guest comes into play. But he's not here just yet, so as soon as he gets here, wait, he's here.
Hey, Kristen.
Hey, Juan.
How we doing, everybody?
Right? Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Special delivery.
Got some goodies there.
You want to introduce yourself to our guests?
Howdy, folks. I'm Juan Castilla, the Food Program Manager at the Atlanta Community Food Bank. Yes, and you'll see me here sometimes in the warehouse with our procurement team, overlooking food that we receive from our donors, or in the warehouse, just making sure that the food is being safe. Yes.
Food safety all around,
yes.
Right?
Food safety all around. Yes.
But so I didn't realize we were going to be making food today.
Yes, we are today. Today we are going to be making my famous Fiesta Pico de Gallo.
But before we do that, you got to go get food safe.
Absolutely. You're right, Kristen. Let me go wash up and get ready here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's really important for us to remember that 48 million people a year will come down with a foodborne illness.
That is correct. 48 million people get foodborne illness from poor personal hygiene.
Exactly. So one's going to show us how to do that.
Right. So before I do, got to make sure. Oh, got to put my hair up.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to even stop you there.
Sorry, folks. Yes, poor personal hygiene. That is your hair. Make sure we got that. Let's see what else. Making sure that you got clean clothes. And what else? Apron. Gotta make sure I got my apron. And last but not least, we'll wash our hands. Make sure you use very warm water with soap.
So, how long are you washing your hands?
Oh, that's right. A good sign for washing the hands is you can sing the happy birthday song a couple of times. Happy birthday to you. You want a good 20, 30 seconds if you don't mind, folks. You want to use very warm water. Get a good lather. And voila. A towel.
Yeah,
and make sure we dispose of the paper towel.
Yeah, disposable paper towels are always the best.
Recommend it. And,
all right.
All right. So.
Okay, we're back. We're ready to make some pico. You said it was Fiesta Pico?
Yes.
All right. What did you bring for us today?
So today I brought the basics. Traditionally, pico, a Mexican pico is red, white, and green. So they have tomatoes, peppers, and onions. But to make it Fiesta, we added a little bit of flair with some colorful bell peppers.
So traditionally, it's not made with the bell peppers, right?
It's not, but we're going to make a little Fiesta since we are having a little Plazita Fiesta tomorrow.
Yes, we are. We're celebrating here at the food bank.
We are.
Okay, so I remember that I have a couple of older tomatoes here in the kitchen that we need to use up. Can we use that in your pico today?
Absolutely. You know, it's not perfect, but they are edible. And so you're looking at texture, you're looking at to make sure there's no, little pits in it. And if there are, you can cut them out. But overall, it's still a firm tomato, so it's very, very, very good to use. Absolutely.
Perfect. So we're gonna cut up some tomatoes. He's got the rest of the ingredients here chopped up with the yellow pepper, bell peppers, and orange bell peppers. Those are the extras that you added, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So what's the classic Pico.
Yes, the classic. You'll have diced red tomatoes, red bell peppers. We'll have jalapenos diced up as well for some heat, for some spice. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, when you're working with jalapenos, where are you getting your heat from? It's the seed and the spine. So when you're handling the jalapenos, you want to be careful not to get the oils in your hand. Has anyone ever gotten jalapeno oil in the eye? I have. No bueno.
It is miserable.
It is miserable. So you want to be careful with jalapenos. I use red onion on my pico de gallo for flavor and fresh cilantro. Yeah, and a little bit of salt as well.
So what's the gloves for?
The gloves, again, if you're handling food at home, you would not want to, autopilot, you don't want to use gloves at home, or we normally don't use gloves at home, but we are handling food for a larger group today for tomorrow, so we want to practice good hygiene with handling food. So the gloves are, if you can use gloves, if you have them.
So if you're not going to cook the food after you touch it, great recommendation to wear gloves. Also, it helps you out to keep those spicy oils off your fingers too.
Very true. The spicy, oils off the fingers does help.
But you gave a good recommendation when we were chatting earlier about what you could use in place of gloves for, to avoid the spiciness on your fingers. What were you talking about?
Well, when you're looking at your kitchen, if you don't have some of those tools that's mentioned, you could use maybe a fork or a set of tongs, something that you can grasp the jalapeno so that when you're cutting it, as you will notice, you're using it to hold the jalapeno right, if not, so something that's easy to maneuver, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so technically one hand touches the pepper only,
right,
and the other hand's gonna hold your knife. So I love the fork recommendation.
Yeah.
What I typically do, because I never have gloves at home, is I use a sandwich bag. So I just put my hand in the sandwich bag, and that is how I keep away from the spicy.
Nice, that's a very good option. Never thought about that one. That's a good one, Kristen.
But the fork is going to be your most cost effective. No more purchases there needed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, why don't you pass me that empty bowl over there, and I'm going to start mixing up the rest of your ingredients.
Nice.
Cool. Here we go. Got a center. Here we go. Okay. We got some peppers.
Right, peppers.
It looks like you got about equal parts everything.
It is about equal parts. I try to obviously put more tomatoes, so that is your base.
Sure.
Now, that's it really.
Takes just a second to get focus in on the chopping.
On the chopping, sorry folks. Yeah, I don't want to cut my finger as anyone. That's why I can have to.
Oh, good. No worries. Here, we'll just keep that one for later.
And voila.
There we go. I was not going to touch the peppers to put them in the bowl, so I'm going to let you do that because you're prepared with the glove.
Absolutely. I don't blame you. And then lime. I'm going to do a fresh lime as well.
Yes. Show us your trick with the lime.
Yeah. So if anyone with limes, have you ever noticed that sometimes limes can be a little hard? So what I do is I massage it on the counter, if you don't mind. Give it a nice little squeeze or push. Again, you want to get those juices flowing so that when you're squeezing the lime juice, you're getting a good bundle of lime.
Yeah, it like opens it, loosens it all up inside.
Absolutely, yeah. It does that. And there you go. As you notice, it is so juicy. And also, too, when you're buying your limes, make sure they're not too hard, And I go a little further myself. I like the pulp out of the lime, so I'll use my knife to just kind of get that pulp a little bit. Dig in there to get that last bit of juice.
I love that.
And you're getting that true flavor of the lime.
I love that very much.
We'll do that.
Just using the whole lime here.
I'm using the whole lime. I'm not trying to be wasteful. I'm trying to utilize what I got.
Would you say this is a to taste recipe?
It is to taste, and some may not want to get it too limey, but the acidity also helps give it a nice flavor.
I'm team sour. I love sour food, so the more lime, the better for me.
Same here. We at our house, my wife and I, we love the limes, and I like the heat. So there goes the heat.
And they smelled a little bit spicy today. Sometimes it's hit or miss when you get the jalapenos from the grocery store.
They are.
But that one smelled spicy.
It does got a little heat, ladies and gentlemen. So
I'll take that.
Go there.
Come this way.
And cilantro. Just tear it up a little bit in there.
Yum, yum, yum. I
And
smell
then
it already.
You smell it. Now we're going to sprinkle some lime, salt.
Just a little bit. Yep. Cool.
And then voila.
That's beautiful.
So fresh colors, fresh ingredients from the store.
We're always talking about is trying to eat as many colors as possible. So this is definitely eating the rainbow. We have every color here.
We sure do.
Except blue, and that's kind of hard to come by naturally. So we're covered.
We are. So again, we're serving the taste. So one of the things that we will like to do is to taste it and see, does it meet our
flavor standards.
Our palates, yes.
Okay,
our standards. Go right for it.
Definitely got to get a piece of cilantro.
Get the cilantro in there. And
I got all the cilantro.
There you go. Delicious. I got jalapeno. Nice kick.
Oh, I did too. I wasn't expecting that. All right, here we go. Spicy mouth. We're going to continue.
Delicious.
You know, the leftover tomatoes that I mentioned to you earlier, they reminded me of how 95% of the foods that we get through the food bank and come to the warehouse, they're all donated to us.
Absolutely. 95% of our food is donated from distributors, retailers, wholesalers, farmers, and what else?
Co-ops.
Co-ops
I think was
as
on
well.
that list.
Co-ops as well. So yes, definitely. And again, some of it may not look so pretty, right? You may have a little notch here and there, so it's still edible. So again, that's where we try to utilize that instead of going to the landfill. I mean, to waste. So it's still good, and so we just cut around it.
Exactly. He found one of these tomatoes at the store, and it's got a blemish. The skin is punctured a little bit, so
Yes.
we want to pay attention to that when it comes to produce. But you can always cut it out, especially if it's still pretty firm, like all around.
It is.
If it's a little too mushy, especially around that open spot, you're gonna want to cut off at least half the tomato at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. But what did you say? You said when in doubt, taste it?
When in doubt, throw it out. If it doesn't look good or if you don't feel comfortable, don't worry about it. But just go ahead and throw it out. Be safe.
So the dates on products, it's really important to understand what they mean. We've got like the use by, the best by, the expiration. I feel like there's one more I didn't say.
They're use by, sell by.
Sell by, that's the one I
That's it,
didn't
sell
say.
by, sell
Yeah.
by. Those aren't really expiration dates. you know.
Exactly.
They're not.
And it's important for our partners to know what they mean and for our neighbors who are served through our partner pantries, so they know that the food they're getting is not bad.
It's correct.
Absolutely.
It's still good for human consumption. It's still, referring to the best by date. That is referencing peak quality and present and flavor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then for that use by date, it's like the end of the window of peak freshness, right?
Freshness and quality.
Still good.
It's still good.
The tomato might be like a little more soft than you might want, but still edible.
Very true. And then you have the sell by date. And the sell by date, that's tend to be more from the merchandising, more inventory control. So it's, rotating shelves at the grocery store, retailers. I don't know if you've heard of the first in, first out, or first expired, first out. Those are true systems that we use when rotating food or shelves.
Exactly. So that sell by date doesn't really as a consumer, you're going to purchase it, or if you're getting it from a food pantry, the sell by date really isn't important to you more so than the store itself. But that best by and use by could be helpful for you. But But like we said, those dates don't mean that they're bad. So how do we know how much time you have after those dates have passed?
Correct. Well, again, we do provide a guide here at the Atlanta Community Food Bank to help us guide through those dates and what's best. Kristen, we get a lot of questions asking a lot about milk here at the food bank and how much longer of a date past its use by date. And what we share with them is if it's shelf stable, you have
about a year past the date on
right.
it.
A shelf stable is about a year. And if it's fresh milk, you have about a week, give or take.
Sometimes it might be a little bit longer, and sometimes it might be a little bit less. It's very variable.
Absolutely. At home, growing up, I knew that we were on a tight budget, right? And so again, we would make sure we would taste the milk. It may necessarily be, but it tastes that well, but it's still edible. So I mean, consumable. So.
Yeah. And if you're worried about it, you can cook with it. You can, because you're going to cook it out and it's going to be totally fine. So like if you're baking something and your milk is right there on the edge, you're like, I don't know if it's okay, you could cook with it. So that's just an option for you. This guide is available to you on eHarvest as partners. You can find it on the homepage of eHarvest. And then for our community members, we're going to share a link with you at the end of the video where you can find this guide. So you can keep it handy and you can reference it whenever you need to about, like how long is this box of cereal going to last me? Because it says it's expired. It's actually a year.
Very true.
A year, if it's not opened yet, it's a year. If it's opened already, then it can go stale kind of quickly.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
So hopefully this guide will be helpful for you all at home and in the pantry. So for tomorrow, we've got our Plazita happening. So we're going to be serving up the Fiesta Pico de Gallo. What else are we serving?
Tomorrow we'll be serving some queso blanco, some with jalapenos, hot queso blanco with jalapenos, and my rockin' guacamole.
Yes. So the guac, that's going to need to stay cold, yeah?
Correct. So again, ladies and gentlemen, when we're handling food, remember if it's hot, keep it hot, cold, keep it cold. So guacamole and the pico will keep it fresh and cool, and the queso will keep it nice and hot.
Exactly. So do we have any tips for keeping hot foods hot?
Oh, yes. I mean, again, if you're not, if you do have a little crock pot or anything, that's what we're going to be using tomorrow is a little crock pot to keep the queso warm. You could use a little chafing dish if you want. Sometimes I've seen this. My aunt would use like a little candle light holder and keep the little bowl of queso just to keep it nice and warm. So that would make it stirrable. So because queso tends to, when it gets cold, what does it do? It hardens.
Yeah, it gets hard on the top.
It does. Yeah.
Come
over here. There you go.
We got some more pop-ups that are going to come. So we're friends.
Yeah, we are. Yes, we are.
So we talked about keeping hot foods hot. I wanted to also add, you can make your own sort of Cambro situation. A Cambro is something that hot food is transported in, like for catering.
True that.
So you can get a cooler and you can boil some water and put it in the cooler and let it sit for a few minutes. Then you're gonna pour out the water and your cooler is like primed for heat, right? So you can put your hot dishes in there and transport them that way.
Absolutely, I've done that.
Mm-hmm. You can also do that for cold foods, right?
Absolutely. Put the cooler and refrigerate it. If you got a big enough refrigerator, keep it cold, or put ice water to keep it cold. Then take it out and transport your food. As a matter of fact, we do recommend that when I go grocery shopping, I'll bring a cooler with me and I'll keep all my cold stuff in my cooler. So all my dry stuff is not affected, but it keeps all the cold food cold, especially when we're running errands. And I also recommend make sure that if you are going to run your errands, do your grocery errands last. Don't do all your shopping first. Don't do your grocery shopping first and then other shopping. Get your other shopping done. Do your grocery shopping at the very end.
And I love that you shared that. And when you're shopping, pick those perishable things last.
Exactly. Pick them last. Very true.
Like
Very true.
least amount of time possible out of refrigeration.
Exactly.
But what is that amount of time that we were talking about? Like, what's the sweet spot?
30
Yeah.
minutes, or are you talking about
Like out of refrigeration.
Oh.
Or like being hot held.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're holding food hot, you do have a holding temp up to 4 hours. It's recommended. So keeping food hot, warm at 140 degrees is what's recommended. That's what's keeping food temperature warm. If it's above that, then you're continuing to cook it, so it may overcook. So keeping hot food hot and holding it is recommended at 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
There you go. There you go. So hot food's hot, cold food's cold. Talked about our use by, our best by, our sell by. Last but not least, we're serving people tomorrow.
Right.
And we've got this queso blanco that's made with milk.
Raw milk, yes. If anyone does not know, allergens. Milk is an allergen. Yes.
So we need to make sure that any allergens are going to be labeled. So folks that you're serving will know what to look for, and they don't have to like ask every person every question to make sure they're safe. So these are the top 9, right? The 9 major food allergens.
That is correct. January 1st, 2023 of this year, the FDA added a 9th allergen to our list. It's now the big 9, and it is sesame. So when we're handling foods, ladies and gentlemen, remember, you want to make sure you are having a particular utensil that it sticks with that food, stays with that food. So we will be serving queso. It will have its own spoodle or spatula or a spoon to serve the queso. Same with pico and the other items. You want to keep the food from not getting contaminated.
Exactly.
Or as they say in Serve Safe, cross contact.
Cross contact, not cross contamination.
No,
They're using like so many new
Yes,
words
I
these days.
tell you, it's with allergens, believe it or not.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think we covered everything that we wanted to share with you today.
I think so. Yes, that's right, Kristen.
That's about it. Yeah. So, as usual, we'll have Juan's Fiesta Pico de Gallo recipe in our resource folder at the link on the bottom of the screen. I will also drop it in the chat box as usual, so you can just click it and go find the recipe, as well as some other resources around food safety and how to just generally keep your food safe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share with our neighbors and our partners?
No, never. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Food safety is always evolving, so never, always brush up on little safety tips. It doesn't hurt. Again, number one thing is keeping hot food hot, cold food cold, and when in doubt, throw it out if you don't know if it's safe.
And wash your hands.
Oh yes, washing the hands.
That number
one thing is poor personal hygiene. Make sure that we're washing your hands at all times when handling food.
Yep. Okay, friends, we'll be back in a couple weeks for another episode. This time it will be Come Bien en Casa in Spanish. Super excited to share some more food bankers with you. So hope you can tune in then. So see you later.
Adios, amigos.